Hey there, I'm Lilums. Welcome to the second episode of the Knowledge Hoard, an informative hamster podcast. Today's episode is about hamster species. Hamsters are often called breeds like dogs. For example, German Shepherds and Beagles are dog breeds. Breeds are different types of a certain species that have been bred to become individuals with unique traits. At least this is a simple explanation. Species are completely different. While two dog breeds can tell they're both dogs, species are like a zebra and a giraffe. They're not the same animal. Hamsters, well, we all call them hamsters. They're different species. A Chinese hamster and a Syrian hamster won't recognize each other as hamsters. At the moment, 5 species of hamsters are kept as pets. First, we'll discuss the largest and most common, the Syrian hamster. Syrian hamsters are often known as golden, teddy bear, fancy bear, or other names, depending on their fur type and coloration. However, they are all the same species of hamster, and the most common name used with hobby keepers is Syrian. A Syrian hamster is generally 100 to 200 grams and is 100% solitary in the wild. Syrian hamsters can have short or long fur and come in quite a few colors, such as black, white, brown, gray, or cream. They can be banded, spotted, or wild type, also known as normal or agati. Normal hamsters are a mix of brown and white. They come from Aleppo, Syria, and the surrounding area and are often known for being cuddly. This is because, as we mentioned in the previous episode, when in small cages, Syrians generally become depressed. They don't care what you do if you squeeze them too hard or wake them up. When hamsters were newer to the pet trade, awfully small cages were used. Syrian hamsters were the most common hamster species back then as well. They technically still are, but it's fine. So now they're commonly considered calm, cuddly, and easy to handle. Syrian hamsters generally need a wheel of at least 8 inches, but ideally 10 to 12 inches. They are the largest captive species and average 5 to 7 inches in length. Next, we'll consider dwarf hamsters. We call them dwarfs only because they're smaller than Syrians. First, we'll look at Chinese hamsters. Whether or not Chinese hamsters are dwarfs is often in debate. Either way, they are the second largest hamster and are the only species to have a prehensile tail. It's long compared to other hamsters, and they're the only species who can climb well, or at least better than other hamsters. They're very unique and come from China and Mongolia, generally living in small groups or pairs in the wild. In captivity, it's generally suggested not to risk keeping them together ever, but it can be possible. However, with all dwarf hamsters, a good pair could suddenly break up with no prior warning. Chinese hamsters average 3 to 5 inches in length and are thin and lean, coming in only 3 colors, normal or agati, which is brown with a pale belly. Normal type Chinese hamsters sometimes have a stripe down their back in dark brown. PEW and BEW, or pink-eyed white and black-eyed white, are just as they sound, an entirely white hamster with reddish pink or black eyes. Finally, they can be a mix of gray and white. Chinese hamsters are prone to diabetes, so you need to be careful with giving them large amounts of fruits or sugary treats. Chinese hamsters are also illegal in some states such as California and Hawaii due to those areas having a similar climate in the wild. If they escape, there's a risk of them becoming an invasive species. California also allows all other hamsters. You can definitely get a hamster, but they're not going to be Chinese hamsters. As for Hawaii, no hamsters exist there. Third, we'll talk about hybrid dwarves. Out of all hamsters, only 2 can mix due to coming from the same genus and the same area. Due to unregulated breeding, Russian Campbell dwarves, or RCDs, often mix with winter white hamsters. Unless you go to a good breeder, you will find a hybrid of the 2, regardless of the label. They may also be called Jungarian, TJ dwarves, Sunfire dwarves, or some other name, often based on their coloration. However, none of these are species, and only these 2 species can interbreed. Hybrid dwarves are very prone to diabetes, and some believe they have naturally bad health due to interbreeding. However, due to unregulated breeding, hamsters from pet stores have bad genetics and health, so this is disputed. Some hybrids can change white in winter when there is less light, but not always. Winter white and Russian Campbell dwarves, also known as RCDs. These have been coupled in the same category here as they're quite similar unless you know what to look for. Winter whites come from Siberia and Kazakhstan, and RCDs come from Kazakhstan as well, China, Mongolia, and Russia. They both average around 3 or 4 inches and are both prone to diabetes. Pure winter whites can change color in the winter, while Russian Campbells cannot. RCDs are well known for a Roman nose that curves into a point uniquely. Both of these hamsters, as well as hybrids, should be kept alone, as all hamsters should. In the wild, dwarf hamsters do live in large colonies, but only for safety in numbers and ease of breeding. It's not for enrichment, and they can be perfectly happy alone. A pair of group of captive hamsters are stuck together and can decide to harm each other suddenly at any time. For this reason, always express caution when keeping hamsters together, and ideally don't. Never keep hamsters of different genders together, and even more, never Syrians. Some experienced keepers may have different opinions, but there is always a measure of risk. Finally, the smallest hamster species out there, Roborowski hamsters. However, most call them robes because it's easier to say and type. Roborowski hamsters are 1 to 2 inches and live naturally in deserts in and around Kazakhstan, Tuva, Mongolia, and Xinjiang. They come in quite a few patterns, including wild, /normal, /agati, which would be a pale belly and brownish black back. Robo hamsters tend to be skittish, especially for their size, and do very well with a large sand bath in their enclosure. Very timid in general. Even though only 5 hamsters are domesticated, approximately 18 to 26 or more hamsters, depending on where you go and who you ask, are in nature. Though we won't discuss all of them, one popular type is the European hamster. They are about 8 to 14 inches long, with just their tails being around 2 inches long. They are endangered and cannot be kept as pets due to their size and aggressiveness to humans. They would also need absolutely massive cages we just cannot provide. They live all over Europe and Asia, especially in Belgium and Russia. They are super unique with a black belly rather than a cream one like most hamsters have. Many conservation methods have happened, but due to their territories being turned into farmland, it's hard for them to survive. In 2020, it was classified as critically endangered. In the description, we will link a Wikipedia article about European hamsters, as well as a link to donate to the World Wildlife Fund. If you're able to donate, it'll help hamsters around the world. And if not, you can still give that link to others or help in other ways. In conclusion, thank you for listening to episode 2 of the Knowledge Hoard. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or something else, feel free to fill out the Google form in the description or join the forum who collaborated to make this podcast, Hamster Hideout Forum. This is Lilums signing off, and I hope you have a wonderful day, you wonderful people.